Dr. Max Grayson wiped the sweat from his brow, his breathing echoing off the ancient stone walls of the catacombs. His flashlight flickered, casting jittery shadows over alien glyphs carved into every surface. He squinted at the symbols, his translator device humming quietly. The display offered a garbled mess of potential meanings: welcome, danger, do not enter, and oddly, fresh baked goods. "Pippa, can you get me a better read on these?" he whispered, his voice bouncing back to him. His AI assistant's voice crackled in his earpiece, laced with her usual sass. "Sure, Max. I'll just whip up an advanced algorithm in this damp cave with no signal. Should I also brew you a latte while I'm at it?" He rolled his eyes. "A simple no would have worked." Max adjusted his pack, the straps digging into his shoulders. His equipment was outdated, a patchwork of human and salvaged alien tech. He'd taken this solo expedition to Zinder 4 against every warning, but the rumors of lost Elisar technology were too tempting. The catacombs stretched out before him, an enticing labyrinth of secrets. "Just find the artifact, take some samples, and get out," he muttered. "Easy." He moved forward, the floor uneven beneath his boots. The catacombs had a strange, organic architecture, stone that seemed to breathe, walls that pulsed with faint bioluminescence. His flashlight died, and he slapped it against his thigh until it sputtered back to life. "Nothing like a bit of horror movie ambience," Pippa said. "Yeah, all we need is a creepy doll and some ominous chanting." He came to a large chamber, its ceiling lost in shadows. At the center, two sleek pods stood upright, covered in dust and age. They pulsed faintly, the light within rhythmic and hypnotic. His heart rate spiked, a mix of fear and excitement. "Are those stasis pods?" "Reading life signs," Pippa confirmed. "Low but stable. Be careful, Max. Ancient pods can be temperamental. Like your ex." "Noted." Max approached cautiously, wiping away the grime on one pod's surface. Behind the glass, a figure lay motionless, a woman, her skin a soft blue, hair like silver threads floating around her. He moved to the second pod and found a near-identical twin. His mind raced. The Elisar were nearly mythological, a race believed to have vanished eons ago. "Two living Elisar," he whispered. This is huge." Pippa's voice turned serious. "Whatever you do, don't push anything until we've run a diagnostic." Max's fingers, however, had already grazed a glowing rune. The pods emitted a low hum, and the lights within intensified. The chamber vibrated, and he stumbled back as a gust of cold air escaped the pods, swirling mist around his feet. The glass slid open with a hiss. The two women stirred, their eyes fluttering open, pale, luminescent, and fixed directly on him. Max froze, a deer caught in alien headlights. The first woman sat up slowly, her movements fluid and unhurried. She reached out, her fingers brushing against the edge of the pod. The second woman mirrored her, their synchronization uncanny. They spoke, their voices soft and melodic, but the translator struggled, spitting out fragments. "Awakened, chosen, soft creature." Max cleared his throat. Hi. I'm Max Human. Not dangerous. Probably more scared of you than you are of me." The women exchanged glances. The first spoke, the translation finally catching up. "You are the one?" "The one what?" he asked, his mouth suddenly dry. "The one to awaken us," the second said. "The prophesied guide." "Oh. Yes. That's me. I guide. I awaken. I prophesy." He forced a smile, the kind he used when talking his way out of bar fights. They stepped from the pods, their bare feet silent on the stone floor. Up close, their features were more distinct, subtle differences in the shape of their eyes, the arch of their brows. Max struggled to maintain eye contact, his mind racing through the implications of finding not just one but two living Elisar. The first woman placed a hand on his chest, her touch cool through his shirt. "Your heart races. Is this part of the ritual?" "Ritual?" "The joining," the second added. Max's brain short-circuited. Whoa, hey, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm not here for any, joining. I'm just an explorer. Strictly professional. They blinked in unison, their expressions a blend of curiosity and amusement. The text spoke of the guide's modesty, the first said. Pippa's voice hissed in his ear. Max, whatever you're doing, stop. You're setting off every biomonitor I've got. Not helping, he whispered back. The second twin leaned closer, her silver hair brushing his arm. Do you lead us to safety, then? To fulfillment? Yes. Exactly. Fulfillment. Safety. That's my whole deal. They stepped back, clasping hands. Their powers flared. One's fingers sparked with soft blue energy, while the other's hair seemed to defy gravity, floating like a halo. The chamber reacted, the walls shifting and opening to reveal a new passage. Max exhaled. Okay. So I'll just, lead the way. He started down the path, the twins gliding silently behind him. Pippa's voice returned, still tinged with concern. You know, Max, for a guy who usually strikes out, you've certainly found yourself in an interesting situation. Yeah, well, I'm not exactly feeling lucky. More like a fish that just realized the bait was attached to a hook. The corridor stretched forward, the walls shimmering with latent technology. The twins remained close, their presence a constant reminder of just how far out of his depth he truly was. Just keep it together, he muttered. Get to the surface, call for help, and don't say anything that could be taken the wrong way. The first twin looked at him, her head tilted. Do you always speak to yourself, chosen one? Only when I'm in over my head, he replied. Which, to be honest, is most of the time. Her lips curled into a faint smile. Good. It means you are wise enough to know your limits. Or foolish enough to keep testing them, he muttered. As they ventured deeper into the catacombs, Max's mind buzzed with possibilities. He had discovered living legends, beings with unimaginable power, and a ruin filled with technology that could rewrite history. He just needed to survive it. And if he was lucky, not become the punchline of his own story. Max led the way through the dimly lit corridor, his flashlight's narrow beam illuminating walls that seemed to shift as he moved. The air was cool and carried a faint metallic tang, like old machinery waiting to whir back to life. Lyra and Mira, the alien twins, moved with a grace that made him feel like a lumbering ape in comparison. Their footsteps were soundless, their pale eyes reflecting the soft glow of the bioluminescent moss clinging to the stone. He cleared his throat, the silence gnawing at his nerves. So how long were you, napping back there? Lyra, the one who manipulated energy, spoke first. The stasis was meant for 100 cycles. Perhaps more. Mira, with her gravity-altering aura, added, Time is fluid within the pods. We dreamed of the stars and the prophecy. Max forced a smile. Right. Prophecy. The one about me, I guess. They nodded in unison, their expressions serene and unsettling. The text spoke of the guide, Lyra said. A being from beyond, who would lead us to fulfill our purpose. Well, I hope your purpose involves getting out of here alive, Max muttered. Mira leaned closer, her voice a whisper. You speak in riddles, guide. It is endearing. Max swallowed hard. Thanks. I think. They reached a fork in the path, one tunnel descending into darkness, the other bathed in a soft green light. Max hesitated, his instincts prickling. He pulled out his scanner, which promptly blinked with an unhelpful, unknown message. Great, he muttered. Always reliable when I need it. Lyra's fingers grazed his arm, sending a tingle through his skin. Shall we choose, or does the guide have a method? Well, when in doubt, follow the light, he said. Unless you're in a horror movie, then you run the other way. The twins blinked at him, their expressions blank. Never mind. Let's go left. They moved as a unit, the twins flanking him. Max's mind raced, trying to balance the surreal nature of his situation with the very real danger of being deep underground with no clear exit. He reached for small talk, if only to break the tension. So, this prophecy, what exactly does it say about me? Myra's lips curled into a smile. That you would awaken us with a gentle touch, lead us through darkness, and guide us to fulfillment. Okay, sure. That sounds manageable. Lyra's voice took on a teasing lilt. There are other interpretations. Some speak of deeper bonds, of joining energies, and of becoming one. Max nearly tripped over his own feet. Well, I'm more of a take-it-slow kind of guy. You know, dinner, maybe a movie, before any, bonding rituals. The twins shared a look, their expressions both curious and amused. Human customs are strange, Mira said. But we are eager to learn. The passage opened into a broader chamber, its walls lined with what appeared to be alien consoles. Lights blinked lazily, and a central platform hummed with dormant power. Max approached cautiously, running his scanner over the console. Looks like a control room, he said. Maybe we can get some answers. Lyra and Mira moved to either side of him, their presence both comforting and distracting. As he pressed a series of buttons, the platform activated, casting beams of light that coalesced into a holographic display. Images flickered, star maps, Elisar cities, and finally, a representation of the catacombs. A red dot pulsed where they stood, and a series of corridors branched out like veins. Okay, we're here, Max muttered. If this is accurate, there's an exit about half a mile to the east. The twins examined the display, their expressions growing serious. This place was not merely a refuge, Mira said. It was a vault. A vault for what? Knowledge. Power. And perhaps, secrets best left forgotten. Max's gut tightened. Are we talking doomsday devices or just creepy old relics? Lyra's fingers danced over the console, causing symbols to shift. Our people were builders, dreamers. But as our end approached, desperation led to darker creations. Fantastic, he said. Nothing like ancient alien superweapons to spice up the day. A sudden rumble vibrated through the floor, and the hologram flickered. The red dot multiplied, showing movement in the catacombs. Max's pulse quickened. Pippa? You picking this up? Yeah, Max, the AI replied. I'm detecting heat signatures. Not friendly. Of course not, he muttered. Why would anything be friendly? The twins moved closer, their powers manifesting subtly. Lyra's fingertips glowed, and Myra's hair lifted in a gravity-defying halo. What is it? Max asked. Defenses, Mira said. Awoken by our presence. Guardians of the vault. Guardians. As in, killer robots or ancient beasts? Both, perhaps. Max exhaled. Well, at least they're not lawyers. The passage behind them darkened, and a mechanical growl echoed through the chamber. Shadows moved, and shapes emerged, bipedal constructs, their bodies a mix of stone and metal, eyes glowing with cold intelligence. Okay, Max whispered. I've seen enough sci-fi to know this isn't good. Lyra stepped forward, energy crackling around her. Stay close, guide. We shall protect you. Mira moved to his other side, gravity warping subtly as debris began to float. Max clenched his fists. All right, ladies. Let's show them what a little human ingenuity and Elisar power can do. As the constructs advanced, Max's mind raced with possibilities. The consoles, the architecture, everything in this place was a puzzle, and if he could figure out the rules, they might just make it out alive. Get ready, he said. And if I say run, I mean run, not a metaphor, not a riddle. Just run. Lyra's lips quirked into a smile. We understand, guide. We trust you. And with that, the chamber erupted into chaos, light and gravity warping around them as ancient machines met the combined force of human wit and alien power. Max barely had time to react before the constructs lunged forward, their movements unnervingly fluid for beings made of stone and metal. Their limbs moved with a mechanical precision, claws scraping against the stone floor, leaving deep grooves in their wake. Max ducked behind a pillar, his mind racing. Okay, Max, he muttered. Think. You're not a fighter. You're a thinker. So think. Lyra and Mira had no such hesitation. Lyra raised her hands, and tendrils of blue energy arced from her fingertips, striking the first construct. The creature convulsed, its inner components lighting up like a malfunctioning circuit board. Sparks flew, and it collapsed in a heap of molten metal and fractured stone. Myra's approach was more subtle but no less effective. She extended her hand, and the gravity around the second construct shifted. It floated off the ground, its weightless form flailing. With a twist of her wrist, she sent it hurtling into the ceiling, where it shattered into debris. Max peeked out from behind his pillar, his eyes wide. "Okay, that's awesome. Terrifying, but awesome." Pippa's voice crackled in his ear. "Max, I'm detecting more hostiles on the move. You need to find a way to shut them down before you're overrun." He glanced at the console they had activated earlier. The holographic map still glowed, showing more red dots converging on their location. His mind raced through the possibilities. The constructs were guardians, triggered by their presence. If he could tap into the system, maybe he could disable them. "Lyra! Mira! Cover me!" He sprinted to the console, his fingers dancing over the alien interface. The symbols twisted and shifted, and he felt like he was trying to crack a code while running a marathon. The twins positioned themselves on either side of him, their powers creating a barrier of light and warped gravity. More constructs emerged from the shadows. These were larger, their limbs bristling with weaponry, blades, spikes, and something that looked disturbingly like a plasma cannon. Max's fingers slipped on the controls, his breathing ragged. Come on, he whispered. "There's gotta be a shutdown command in here somewhere." Mira grunted, her concentration wavering as a construct fired a burst of energy. The blast skidded across her gravitational field, scattering the debris in slow motion. Lyra retaliated with a wave of energy, but the constructs adapted, their metal plating absorbing the blast. Max's mind raced. "Pippa, translate these symbols. I need emergency commands, overrides, anything." "I'm working on it," she replied. "But this system is ancient. Half of these symbols could mean power down or release the Kraken. Take your pick." Max clenched his jaw. "I'll take my chances." He hit a sequence of buttons, and the entire chamber shuddered. The constructs paused, their movements stuttering. The map displayed new lines of code, streams of data that painted a clearer picture of the vault's purpose. "This place wasn't just a vault," he said, his voice tight. "It was a testing ground. These constructs were meant to protect the knowledge stored here, but they're also part of the test." Lyra, her breathing heavy, glanced at him. "A test for whom?" "For us," he replied. "Or rather, for whoever the Elisar believed would come after them. They didn't want just anyone accessing their secrets. They wanted someone who could think on their feet, adapt under pressure." Myra's gravity field shimmered, bending light around them. "Then how do we prove ourselves?" Max hesitated. "We need to show the system we're not a threat. That we're worthy. It's not about fighting, it's about understanding." He accessed another section of the console, the interface shifting to display a series of puzzles. There were visual patterns, logic sequences, and energy flows. It reminded him of old Earth games, puzzles designed to test spatial reasoning and problem solving. "Cover me. I need a minute." The twins nodded, their powers flaring as the constructs reanimated, their red eyes glowing with renewed focus. The constructs advanced, but this time, the twins didn't attack directly. Instead, they used their powers defensively, creating barriers and redirecting attacks to buy Max the time he needed. He focused on the puzzles, each success bringing a new wave of stability to the room. The constructs hesitated, their movements slowing. Max felt a surge of hope. "It's working! The system is recognizing us as non-hostile." A final puzzle displayed, this one a simple question in the Elisar script: "What is your purpose?" Max hesitated, his fingers hovering over the controls. The correct answer could mean survival. The wrong answer, well, he didn't want to think about that. "To learn," he typed. "To preserve. To respect what came before and to carry it forward." The console beeped, and the constructs froze. Their red eyes dimmed, and they lowered their weapons, retreating into alcoves along the walls. The entire chamber brightened, the oppressive weight of danger lifting. Mira let out a breath, her gravity field dissipating. Lyra's hands stopped glowing, and she sank to her knees, exhausted but triumphant. Max allowed himself a shaky laugh. Okay. That wasn't so bad. Pippa's voice was warm, relieved. You did it, Max. The system is in standby mode. The path forward is clear. He helped Lyra and Mira to their feet, their cool skin grounding him in the moment. They looked at him, their expressions a mix of admiration and curiosity. You showed wisdom, guide, Lyra said. More than just strength. Mira nodded. You found the path when all seemed lost. Max scratched the back of his neck, a blush creeping up his cheeks. Yeah, well, it was either that or get turned into a shish kebab by ancient robots. I'll take the brain work over the skewering any day. The twins exchanged a glance, their lips quirking into identical smiles. The prophecy spoke of a guide who would lead with his mind, Mira said. It seems it spoke true. Max grinned. Well, I'm just glad I passed the test. Let's hope the next room is a little less murder-y and a bit more exit-y. With the constructs at rest and the chamber safe, the trio moved forward, Max's confidence bolstered by their victory. Whatever lay ahead, he knew they had a fighting chance, not because of his strength, but because of his mind, his quick thinking, and yes, a bit of good old-fashioned luck. As they entered the next passage, the stone walls seemed to breathe a little easier, and Max couldn't shake the feeling that the catacombs themselves were watching, waiting to see what kind of guide he would truly become. Max led the way through the now dormant catacombs, his flashlight casting long, eerie shadows against the ancient stone walls. The energy in the air had shifted, no longer oppressive but filled with a quiet hum, as if the catacombs themselves were waiting for the next move. Lyra and Mira followed closely, their expressions a mix of exhaustion and quiet resolve. Pippa's voice crackled in his ear. I'm still picking up energy signatures ahead. Whatever powers this place, it's still very much alive. Good to know, Max muttered. Let's hope it stays friendly. They moved through a narrow passage that opened into a vast chamber, its ceiling arching high above them. Crystals embedded in the walls glowed softly, casting the room in an otherworldly light. At the center stood a pedestal, and atop it lay an artifact, a crystalline orb that pulsed with soft, rhythmic light. Max approached cautiously, his scanner humming. This has to be it, the heart of Elisar. Lyra's eyes widened. It is real. The source of our people's power, the key to restoration. Mira stepped forward, her hands clasped together. The prophecy said the heart would choose. That only the worthy could wield it. Max hesitated. And by wield we mean, what exactly? It's not going to, fuse to my hand or anything, right? The twins exchanged a glance. The texts were unclear, Lyra admitted. Of course they were. Max sighed. He reached out slowly, his fingers hovering just above the orb. The light within it brightened, responding to his presence. His heart pounded, every rational part of his mind screaming caution, but something deeper urged him on. When his fingers touched the cool surface, the world around him shifted. His vision blurred, and he found himself standing in a vast expanse of white light. Figures moved around him, shadows and echoes of the Elisar, their voices a chorus of whispers. You have come, they said, their tones layered with ages of wisdom and sorrow. Max swallowed. Yeah. I'm here. Not entirely sure what here is, though. You seek the heart, they continued. But why? He considered his answer carefully. To help. To preserve what remains of your world. To make sure the knowledge and beauty of the Elisar isn't lost. The whispers grew softer, almost contemplative. Many have sought the heart for power. You seek it for purpose. Max nodded. Look, I'm just a human. Not a warrior or a king. But I know the value of history, of keeping stories alive. If you give me this chance, I'll make sure your legacy lives on. The light pulsed, and he felt warmth spread through him, a gentle embrace of approval. When the light faded, he was back in the chamber, his hands still on the orb. Lyra and Mira were staring at him, their expressions hopeful. "The heart has chosen," he said softly. The orb lifted from the pedestal, floating gently in his hands. A network of light spread through the room, activating ancient mechanisms. The crystals in the walls brightened, and the hum of energy became a melody, filling the air with a harmonious sound. Mira gasped. "The vault is awakening." Data streams projected into the air, showing maps, texts, and holographic images of Elisar culture, art, technology, history. The catacombs weren't just a vault. They were a repository of everything the Elisar had been. "This is incredible," Max breathed. "We can preserve it all. Share it with the universe." Pippa's voice cut through the Max? We've got company topside. Sensors are picking up a ship. Looks like Marlowe's crew." Max's face hardened. "Of course he's back. He must have tracked our signal." Lyra's hands sparked with energy. "He cannot be allowed to desecrate this place." Myra's gravity field shimmered, pebbles lifting gently around her. "We will protect the heart." Max nodded. "We can't let him destroy what we've found." "Pippa, can you link into the vault's defenses?" "Already on it. I've got drones, energy barriers, and a few things I can't even identify." "Want me to give him a warm welcome?" "Make it hot," Max said. They moved quickly, the catacombs responding to the heart's influence. As they approached the exit, the ancient constructs they had deactivated earlier reanimated, their red eyes now glowing with a soft blue hue. They marched in formation, following the trio like an honor guard. When they reached the surface, Marlowe was already there, his rough crew spread out around the entrance. He grinned when he saw Max, his hand resting on his blaster. "Well, well. You did all the hard work for me. How thoughtful." Max held the orb close, its light pulsing with his own heartbeat. "Turn back, Marlowe. You don't know what you're messing with." "Sure I do," Marlowe said. "I'm messing with a payday big enough to buy my own planet. Now hand it over before I have to get unfriendly." Mira stepped forward, the gravity around her rippling. "Leave. Now." Lyra's energy arced between her fingers, illuminating the dark with a soft, dangerous glow. Marlowe hesitated, his bravado cracking. "You think I'm afraid of a couple of glow-stick aliens and their pet human?" Max didn't wait for him to draw. He raised the heart, and the constructs marched forward, their metal feet thudding against the ground. Marlowe's crew fell back, their weapons useless against the ancient guardians. Energy barriers shimmered into place, cutting off escape routes. Pippa's voice echoed through the clearing, amplified by the vault's systems. "Attention, trespassers! You are in violation of Elisar sanctity. Stand down or be neutralized." Marlowe's blaster clattered to the ground. Okay. We're leaving." Max held his gaze. "And you're not coming back. If I see you again, these constructs will do more than just escort you out." Marlowe nodded, his face pale. His crew scrambled back to their ship, engines flaring as they beat a hasty retreat. When they were gone, Max exhaled, his shoulders sagging. Lyra and Mira moved to his side, their hands resting on his arms. "You have done well, guide," Lyra said. Myra's voice was soft. "Our people would be proud." Max managed a smile. "I couldn't have done it without you too. I think this is just the beginning." The heart glowed warmly, its light spreading through the clearing. The catacombs had been a test, a challenge, but now they were a promise of what the Elisar had been, and what they could become again. Max knew he had a long road ahead, filled with challenges and dangers. But with the twins by his side and the heart in his hands, he felt ready to face whatever the universe threw at him next.